Hello and welcome back to AWS On Air. We are live at the San Francisco Summit. I'm Am Grabelny, aging punk rocker and solution architect here at AWS. I'm joined with a co-host here, an old friend of mine.
No, I'm Steve Roberts, an aging .NET developer and PowerShell advocate whose voice is just hanging on.
Just the aging part.
It's
then.
just the aging part, yes.
That's cool. Danny, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Danny Banks. I'm a principal design technologist on the Amplify team, and today is actually my birthday, speaking of aging, so...
Happy birthday.
A little birthday present. We launched Studio today.
You made it a full calendar year back around.
Calendar year, yes. I'm still alive. So
yeah,
we're good.
you're here.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, so we're here to talk about Amplify Studio, which actually launched in preview back at reInvent
Correct.
of 2021,
Yep.
correct? But now, today, what's different? What's happening?
Today, it's general availability. It's ready to go. People could have been using it for a while, but now it's for sure ready to go. And since basically November, since reInvent, we've been hearing a lot of customer feedback and implementing a lot of improvements to the experience of Studio. So we wanted to get a lot of stuff in before we kind of marked it as general availability.
That sounds great. And I get in trouble a bit, Danny, I'll be honest with you, for playing favorites with the services.
Yeah.
Amplify is very high up on the list for me for a lot of
Same.
reasons.
Yeah.
I'm biased towards it. I've worked on the Amplify team in the past, worked with Amplify deeply with an old colleague of mine, Nikki Stone, and I know what it is, but our audience may not, right? They may not have ever experienced Amplify before. Do you want to give kind of a brief overview of Amplify is broken into a lot of parts when you get down into the nitty-gritty of it, but do you want to give us a quick overview of that?
I'll try. I'll do my best. I'll do my best. Yeah, you said it right. Amplify is a lot of things. There's a lot of pieces of it. And really what I like to think about it is it's really turbocharging front-end development. And it's making, I think, AWS more accessible to front-end developers. To create a web application on AWS, you need a bunch of, S3 and EC2, and you need a bunch of services. But with Amplify, you can just say, I want a website, I need some data, I want authorization, I want authentication, and you're ready to go. And so Amplify basically just simplifies all of that for building cloud-connected applications.
Yeah, it makes a lot of choices for you. It's somewhat opinionated, somewhat not, and lets you customize things. But more importantly, it aligns to the things as a front-end. I heard you say, and I heard a whisper in my ear, metaphorically, from Kyle Lee to say also mobile.
Yes.
It aligns to the things, services, tools that you would expect to be there, not in AWS speak, so to speak, right?
Correct,
Authentication, storage, I know I need these things as an app dev. How do I get them on AWS? And Amplify is how.
Yep, exactly. And really some of the things that we've been working on this past year and with Studio is building out more extensibility. Like you kind of mentioned, being a bit opinionated. We've been making it so that you start out as opinionated, but you can still grow from there. You don't need to only use Amplify. Now you can use Amplify and actual AWS services and stuff like that. So it can grow with your application and kind of grow as you grow. It's not just this thing that's only used for prototyping or anything.
Right. Totally. One of my favorite things about Amplify too is just the libraries, right?
Yep.
Just the language-specific libraries, and even not just language, but framework too. There are libraries for React, libraries for Angular, Vue. And you don't have to use any other piece. If you just want to use the library, you can bring just the library. I love that about Amplify. You pick what you want and how much you need of it. Or you can use the whole thing and get going really fast, right?
Exactly.
So you mentioned Studio.
Yep.
So let's zoom in onto that for a second. So I wrote the news blog post that went out this morning, and one of the key points in that news blog post when I was talking to the service team was the collaboration between developers and designers and how Amplify Studio helps turbocharge that, make that a lot easier. Can you talk to that a little bit?
Yeah, so that's one of the things that, when we started building Amplify Studio, and specifically the UI builder part of Amplify Studio, now kind of Amplify Studio is the entire admin interface for building Amplify applications, and the UI builder piece of that is what we've kind of built to solve the inefficiencies of kind of designer and developer, like handoff, friction inefficiencies. There's, designers and developers talk in kind of different languages and they're working kind of silos. And we really wanted to kind of connect the two so that designers can still work in the tools that they like and developers can still work in the tools they like, but they can be connected now with the UI builder functionality.
Yeah. Going from wireframes to actual code is a lot more complex than it seems.
Yes.
And, in general, too, UI development, mobile, front end, it's complicated. And it's only gotten more complicated over time, too.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, what are some common design tools that Amplify took into consideration when building Studio?
Really, we kind of looked at like what our customers were using, and a lot of people were using Figma. Figma is kind of the newer design tool kind of on the block, and I think what really drove people to adopting Figma is it's a web app. You can use it. You don't need to install anything, and it really has great like collaboration. Like there's all memes and stuff like that of like all these little like cursors like pointing over things because like hundreds of people can be editing a Figma file at once. And so it really kind of like the collaboration piece is what Figma I think really like nailed, and I think that's what's driving people to Figma.
And I assume you've got something to show us too.
Yes, I do. I do have a demo.
Wonderful.
Okay.
So we'll probably see some Figma there, maybe.
We will see some
A bit.
Figma here. I'll be going through Figma a little bit. So to get started, I have an Amplify application already up and running. I just have a very simple data model. We're going to be building an Instagram for cats, basically, right now.
I'm so glad you didn't say dogs. I'm a cat person.
I'm a cat person as well.
Immediately bonded, Danny.
Yes.
We're bonded for life.
Yep.
There's no going back now.
All right.
Best
So,
friends
Yep.
forever.
Best friends for
Right?
life. All right.
Okay. I
So-
pressured you into that.
Yep.
We're live on camera. Can't take it back.
Yep.
That's how
Okay.
I became friends with Steve.
I can't get rid of him now, so bad luck.
Yeah, you can't go anywhere. So I have this Amplify application. I have a very simple data model called a post, and I already have some data that I added before this. This is also one of the cool things about Studio that has been around for a while that we didn't like launch recently, but the content management system. So like I can just go in here and edit content, add new posts, and do all that type of stuff. So I already have some cat posts in here, and before I get into the UI builder piece, I also have basically a code create React application running that is connected to Amplify's data store, but it isn't using any of the UI builder stuff yet. So it should be already running, and local.
And data store, if you're unfamiliar, is another function of Amplify that is primarily angled towards offline usage of an application and data syncing between offline and online modes.
Correct, and it just makes it very simple to like access your data, like, and kind of you said like in the kind of categorical thing, you just say like, I have data, give me the data. You don't need to worry about like online,
across
offline,
browsers,
any of that stuff. So like here, I'm just doing like a data store query post and just getting all of the posts and displaying them in a list. So here are all the cats that I have. Very nice, and then very simple. You can click on it and it'll go to a detail page, but it's basically the same thing. So this is what we're going to start with, and I'm going to actually start doing the UI builder functionality and create a design in Figma.
Oh, very cool.
So to do that, we go to the UI library piece, and if you haven't set it up yet, this is what you get. So you can do get started. We have a Figma file already built. It's our AWS Amplify UI kit. So you'll just go and duplicate this. And then you have our UI kit that has some instructions right here. Has like all of the, it doesn't have all of it. It has a lot of our like primitives like buttons and alerts and inputs and stuff like that.
So all the standard things you would expect.
Exactly, all the standard things. And then we have some pre-built like custom components. So you could delete all of these if you don't want any of them. We just provide them so you can have like a starting point. So to get started, you grab the link to this file. So again, Figma is kind of web-based. Everything is just a URL. And so you just paste your Figma file link in here. hit continue. You'll need to allow access to Figma. And then it will connect our UI components with this Figma file. So whenever we make changes to the Figma file and sync, it will pull in those changes. So we'll accept all of these changes, and you can preview the components as they're coming in. So like this is a component. You can accept and reject as you go, or just accept all, which I'll do right now.
Oh, cool. It's even got like workflow pieces built into it too.
Yep.
Like if you're collaborating amongst many different people.
Exactly.
You reject the changes if it doesn't meet a standard or something.
Yeah, and we built in like layers of control so that it's not just like you update a Figma file and immediately like a production website has like pink buttons, you know?
Yeah, right.
Like we have like, you know, kind of layers of control and layers of like overrides and kind of escape hatches so that
Nice.
you're never like locked into like, oh, I don't have control as a developer. I don't have control over these components that a designer is giving me.
That's awesome.
So here we can actually see these components that have been kind of pre-built for us. So there's this one called Ampligram. We'll take that, and what we can do is we can configure it to bind it to our data models, which is pretty cool. So click configure, and then let's say, so this text layer right here, we want to set that to something from, oh wait, actually, sorry. To get started, it should accept a post as in React speak as a prop, and then we can give it the type of post, which is our post model. So now we can set this label to be the post.name, and we have like seed data that's kind of, you know, randomized and stuff like that. So, and let's set this image source to post.image. And we'll set this to post.comment and post.profile pic. So now this is automatically being saved as I'm doing all this stuff. So if I want to get this into my code base now, I just do an Amplify pull like you would normally do in any other Amplify application, but now it'll pull in UI components when I do that. So let's go here. So this Amplify pull command.
And this is maybe, as this goes, maybe a good time to mention that Amplify also has a CLI component,
Yes.
right? That allows you to automate workflows or interactively work from your own terminal as you're building an Amplify application.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yep, and you can do things like, you know, Amplify add auth, and you get, you know, authentication, or Amplify add data. You can, you know, the CLI is very powerful, and especially now with the UI components. Okay, so let's bump this up a little bit. So when I did the Amplify pull, first it added my data models, and now it added all of these UI components that are coming from Figma, and then kind of being synced through Amplify Studio. So if I go in here and let's import Ampligram from UI components. Now I'll be able to use this component that is over here it's originally in this Figma file and sync through Studio, and now I'll be able to use it in my React code. So let's take out this and do Ampligram and passing in a post. And let's save that. Oh. Ampligram. And now I will start my create React app server again. And if I did everything correct, I did, but I forgot one very important thing. To get the styles, you need to import the style sheet from the Amplify UI components.
Oh, yeah.
So obviously, I won't get styles if I don't do that. So import Amplify UI React. These are our React components, which include things like the authenticator, but also, you know, buttons, inputs, alerts, that type of stuff.
Okay.
Styles. And then I'm going to import the Amplify provider. And then I just need to wrap my app in the Amplify provider. And now needed to add CSS. There we go. There we go.
Ah, there it is.
Now it works. So now, this is the actual data that's in there, and it's, the design is coming from this actual Figma file right here. So let's make a change here. Let's say, we don't really need this bar right here. We don't need that. Let's get rid of it. We don't need to do anything. Figma auto-saves everything. And so now we can just go back in here, sync with Figma, and then it'll pull in those changes, and we'll be able to review them before we obviously bring them in.
Those are those controls you were mentioning.
Exactly.
Love it.
Yeah, and so you can see, this was the current component, and this is the updated component. So we can accept those. And then once it refreshes, now we don't have those anymore in the previewer. So if I did an Amplify pull, I would get these new updated components.
Oh, that's pretty easy to update too.
Yep.
Like that's. I mean, you set that out as a workflow basically. That's incredible.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's part of your, other tools that you use as a dev. You just incorporate like seemingly one command,
Yep.
and you get all of the changes from your design team.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
super cool.
Yep.
Nice.
And there's some more cool features that we have. So one of them is not only can you just bind a single component, but you can create a collection.
Oh, nice.
So let's create a collection of these, so we don't even have to do any of like the data store stuff ourselves. So you can see it's already previewing our data. This is what our collection looks like. We could do a list or a grid. And then
oh, cool.
if we
So like
do
the individual view, and then like let's see like a whole list of these.
Yep, exactly. And so it has
components.
and so it has some controls for kind of controlling the how the collection appears. You can add search, you can add pagination, all that type of good stuff. And then we just need to do another Amplify pull. And once that gets in there, we will update to use that new collection component. All right, now we should have access to an amplogram collection. Instead of doing this, we can just do amplogram collection. We don't need to do any of this data store stuff.
Okay. So we're running short of time, Danny.
Yep.
I don't want to cut you off, but I'm going to have to. Is there anything that you want to leave our viewers with to go learn more? Anywhere you direct them to? I know the Amplify docs are like incredible, actually. Really, really great standard of docs. Oh, there you go.
Yep, there we go.
Cool. But yeah, anywhere you would push people to go learn more about Amplify Studio, get started?
Yep, yeah, just the Amplify docs, they're great. And then, we also have docs for our UI components and our UI library as well. So that's another good place to go. But yeah, that's where we go.
I love it.
Cool.
Super easy to use.
Super easy.
Incredible workflow, I think. And happy birthday, Danny.
Thank you.
On a
Thank you.
personal note. All right, stick with us. We will be right back with more content actually about Amplify. So keep
There we go.
tuned right here.